Show you how many rat traps I've got. I've got this black one I've shown before in other videos. Really good at catching stuff. I've had to modify it to stop hedgehogs getting in. So there's just that hole there. You can see there, just wide enough for a rat to go in, and that stops, obviously, a hedgehog can't get in. Otherwise you've got a great big area a hedgehog can get into. So that's one trap, about $12.99. This one here is a squirrel trap, which also can be used for catching rats. Unfortunately, again, even though you wouldn't think of it, that hole's about the size of an apple. Even a big hedgehog can somehow squeeze through there and get stuck in it. So that's why I've put these tent pegs in the middle to stop a big animal getting in. So that's another thing there. Can't remember how much they were. Maybe $6.99, $7.99, something like that. They're okay. Good for squirrels. I've got a second one there, which I got a hedgehog stuck once, so I had to cut some metal off, which is why there's now a big hole at the bottom. I don't know if you can see that great big hole there. So modified it and basically put a hook from the top. That rolled up wire there is to hook, is to put food inside of it. Anyway, theory is, let me put this down. Oh, this is all caught up. Come on, come on. Oh. Okay. Sorry about the delay, folks. So, principle is you hook that up off the ground a few inches so that rats can get underneath it. Can you see that height difference there? So that's why you got that wooden bit there. The plastic is just off a ice cream container lid. That's so that the thing can slide, otherwise it gets stuck on the grass. And you've got that bit of wood there, so that you've got, that's just an old bike spoke attached to there, and then you hook it on that end. I'm not going to be able to do it with one hand while using the camcorder, but in theory you hook it on the back there, and when an animal goes for the food there, it causes this to collapse, and then this is now flat on the ground. So that's another trap I've got. Just going to show you one other kind of trap quick. It's at the other end of my garden. I'll be as quick as I can. This gold coloured trap is almost the same kind of thing as that black one, but it doesn't work as well. You got the food on a hook there. Again, this was something like $11.99. I don't recommend this one. It doesn't work as well. And again, I've adapted it so that hedgehogs can't go in it with this metal mesh. You can see there's a little hole there. Otherwise, hedgehogs will get stuck in them. So that's what you've got to do there. That's that one. Now, I'll show you the last two. Oh, I broke my ankle. Then in there, that white plastic box is another kind of rat trap. That's got one of those spring-loaded traps that slams down on the rat. And you see that hole there is where they're supposed to go in. And there's one at the other end. Ignore that plastic bit it's sitting in, that's something else. But anyway, again, that was, I don't know, probably about £10, and that's pretty useless, basically. I put it over a hole under my fence. I'll show you the hole. That hole down there is where hedgehogs come into my garden, and also rats, and I deliberately put this trap facing the other way around so that a rat would have to come through the trap to get into this area. And of course the rat just simply dug a hole at the side and got past it. They know that that's a trap. So, useless kind of trap. That's another of those same kind of traps I'm about to show you. And the reason I'm going to show you, finally, I've got it to work, and there's a huge rat in here. That's one of the biggest rats I've ever caught. Look at the size of that monster. And it's finally worked because, as you can see, I dug a hole. The problem with these traps, the hole for a rat to go into them is about, I don't know, 5-6 inches off the ground. So normally rats go along the ground, but if you dig a hole a few inches deep so that the trap is below ground level, then the hole that they climb in to get in, hello rat, then the hole that goes in is there, and then it's got a weighted, you see that silver thing there, that's a trap door. When they stand on that trap door, they can get into the chamber that the rat's now stuck in, and then it causes the trap door bit to, because of that weight, it shuts. So the rat is now stuck in that chamber where I'm showing you with my hands, and hopefully that won't spring open, it can get back out. But look at the size of that, that is a big one. And that's been nicking all the food I put out for my hedgehogs in this hedgehog feeding area here, which is, all this is to stop cats getting in there. All that metal prevents cats getting the food, but unfortunately if you put food on the ground for hedgehogs, you attract rats. But anyway, finally I've caught it. And another problem with these traps is obviously if you put food in them, the food goes onto the ground and rats are clever enough to dig underneath and they'll make a mess of your lawn or anything. So I'll show you in a second. Oh, that's horrible. I've put a plastic garden planter thing on the ground so that the food's trapped there, so a rat can't dig underneath and get at the food. So you need to put something underneath this type of trap. I'm just going to bring this out onto the lawn so you can see it. Oh, look at that horrible thing. Hello. So I've caught you at last. You've been nicking all my hedgehog food for weeks, you blooming thing. Horrible things there. And you see they've got kind of a little notch out of their ear. I always thought that was like they'd been in an accident, but it's not. If I get it to hold still a second, you might actually see what I mean. Can you see that notch on the ear? Yeah, you have to pause the video when I said that. That is a huge brown rat. Horrible things. And then obviously it's up to you what you do to get rid of it now. I don't put poison out in my garden because that could poison hedgehogs and birds. It's a nightmare to catch rats and not catch hedgehogs. As I've shown you have to modify traps. So quite often what people do is they get a bucket of water and drown the thing. So it's up to you if you want to take it in your car and drive it and let it go in the field miles from your house, but most people would simply drown it. Anyway, so I've shown you this kind of trap. The hole it went into, you see how high that is? That's about 5-6 inches off the ground, and that's the problem. They don't normally think to go up, so that's why if you dig a hole so that the hole's near a ground level, see, this has finally worked. I've been trying for ages with these traps and they haven't worked. So that's the thing to do, bury them. Dig a hole for this kind of trap. Again, you can get these on eBay for, I don't know, probably about $8.99, maybe $10.99, around that area. So they can work. But as you can see, they go very, very rusty because you leave them outside, and that makes the flappy trapdoor bit a bit weaker, not as secure. So again, another thing to do is, if you can, somehow waterproof this, you know, put an old umbrella over it or something so that it doesn't get so knackered. But anyway, it's time for me to deal with Mr. Rat. Hello, Mr. Rat! Hello, Mr. Rat! Hello! 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 Oh, what do you want to say to me? Hello! 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 Oh, hello. Right, I'm going to get rid of this. Oh. Horrible